Without a vision, the people perish. Welcome to Vision Plus, a program featuring a positive outlook, dealing with everyday situations of marriage, children, and business. Believing Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Teacher, author, speaker, delighting audiences from New York to Sacramento with a heart and message for the people today. Bonnie would like to remind you of the 800 number on the screen. Please feel free to call at any time throughout the broadcast and share your concerns. Leave your prayer request and someone will pray with you. And now, teacher, author, and speaker.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Vision Plus. Without a vision, the people perish. How many of you have or know someone that has been told your services are no longer needed, or we're downsizing, or we're closing our front door, or something to that effect? What did you do? Did you throw up your hands, run around the room and cry, hit them with a poker, whatever? Let's find out what one person did, and that's Ponitha Everhart. Did I say that right?
Yes, ma'am. Ponitha Everhart.
And she's here in Huntsville, and she did my daughter's hair one day, and lo and behold, the next day or two, within a week, her boss, although she was the general manager, her boss said, your services are no longer needed. And that can really break your heart sometimes, or your pocketbook. But if you have what this lady has, you can find out that there's other solutions. We're going to find out what that is. Now, she was Alabama A&M CDC Board of Directors member and North Alabama Community Improvement Organization NHCIO member, treasurer, and chairman. I would never accept the job as treasurer because I'd be too tempted to be a wealthy woman by now. No, I'm teasing. Alabama Chamber of Commerce member and volunteer, God's Obvious Direction Incorporated, an omnipotent organization, and so many more things that you're not going to believe. Neighborhood outreach, organized gospel concert, community prayer, and lots of other things. Health fair, fellowship Bible studies for adults and children, dependent children ministry, drama skits, spiritual. We're going to have you try some of those drama skits in just a minute. Please help me welcome Ponitha Everhart. I like that. Goes with Libhart. Oh, and I do have to tell you, my new book came in today, about within the last hour. Born Again Marriage, how that you can cope with the D's in life: divorce, depression, death, drugs, drinking, and debt, and how my husband and I only thought of divorce one time, and it's in this book. Murder maybe a few hundred times, but anyway, this will tell you about a tornado we went through at the Indianapolis 500 when the pace car hit the photographer's stand, and my husband, we both were hit, but he got his neck broken. Fortunately, it's around his old hard head, so he lived over that, still working today. And how the wonderful people of Indianapolis, Indiana, came to the hospital and offered us money. Tony wouldn't let me take it, unfortunately. But you'll learn about this and tornadoes, and it has a analysis action section at the end of each chapter. Now, what analysis action is you analyze what's going on in your finances, your relationship, your love for each other, your love for God, and you take action on a new direction. And that's exactly what Ponitha Everhart has done. She has taken a new direction after somebody said, your services are no longer needed. How did you cope with that day when you heard it? I bet you just said, this can't be.
Well, in actuality, I really felt a big burden lifted up off of me, because sometimes working in adverse environments where you really don't agree with some of the work ethics of the individuals that you have to work for, I felt like I was released from prison, and it just really opened up the floodgates of my spirit and allowed the things that God has already instilled in me to come and be free. Because sometimes we get caught up in what we perceive to be economic challenges and things of that nature, and that we feel like if we have a job working 9 to 5 that we're more stable. But in actuality, I love the liberty that God has given me to be able to go out and open up my mind and expand my horizon as far as with the gift that he has given me that you can tap into. That's something someone can never take away from you, is the gift that he has given within. And the gift that he's given me, it was definitely dealing with hair. I have been a hairstylist for at least 30 years, but I did hair ever since I was a little girl. I have pictures of when I was like 3, 4 getting wigs for Christmas, and I never dreamed that I would become a wig maker, and that's where my heart is now. I'm really targeting just cancer, lupus, leukemia, and anyone that has hair loss, because the name of the business is Hair Loss Solutions. So now I have a chance to just direct all my time and energy that God has given me to that business, and it's nothing like being self-employed, because you'll get a chance to actually just be led by the Spirit as to what it is that he would have you to do this day, not what man would dictate for you to do. He determines your comings and your goings, not man. So I really felt like I was just being released when that happened to me. And of course, initially it left me in a place where it was really zero, because it was the day after my birthday. You understand what I'm saying? And I was like, oh, couldn't get a better timing than that, you know. And of course, you go through different emotional things, okay? But most importantly, what's in the inside of you has to raise up, and that is your spirit man, okay? And he will lead and guide you and help you to be strengthened through whatever trial or tribulation that you encounter.
Well, we have one of our neighbors, Captain Mike, that's Mindy's running camera, so Tony can meet with his people from Seguin, Texas, and he has been so helpful, the best neighbor you could ever want in the whole world, and now he is a FedEx captain, so I don't know if he'll be humbling himself to come down and help us again, but I really appreciate it. But he said that his brother was working for a company, and just told him one day, I don't agree with your ethics, with the way you're doing business, and I'm going to leave. And they said, oh, no, don't leave, you know. So, boy, it must be very difficult to stand up, to really have your backbone up so that you can do what you feel is right for you. And you did that. Now, why wigs? What happened in your life? And I'm glad, because my daughter went to you and she said you were the first person that ever didn't make fun of her where she's losing her hair from having cancer. And she said you were so kind and gentle. She's supposed to be here today, or at least we wanted her to, but she said you were so good to her. So, but why did you get interested in wigs? That's just kind of an unusual thing. Did you know someone with cancer or lupus or one of these?
Well, yes, I did encounter individuals that had suffered with this, but with some of my clients that was a long time walking with me, and unfortunately that they did pass on. But during the course of this, I just saw the compassion and how grievous their spirit became when they had hair loss. Now in my family, I already have thinning, balding, male pattern baldness and alopecia that takes place. And so I know the traumatic change once you have a head full of hair, and then all of a sudden you start losing it, and there's nothing that you can do. Buying all these different tonics, letting individuals take you down through all these unnecessary channels, and they know that they lead to a dead-end street, but they just compensate money off of you. And that's something that I just never had in my heart to really do, because I know that it didn't work. Because once you understand exactly how hair grows and what takes place, and once that follicle is damaged, okay, it's nothing else that you can really do to it unless you get a hair transplant. And unfortunately, everyone is not able to afford to do this, but everyone is able to afford to buy a wig, and we have all different kinds and price ranges to accommodate everybody, no matter what your financial situation might be. And we also have wigs where they can come up underneath your insurance also, because sometimes the insurance will pay for hair prostheses. That's what they call them in the medical field, for individuals who have different medical conditions, and that the insurance will cover it.
That is a great thing. If a person needs a wig or a wiglet or something, sometimes their hair just comes out in spots and they really just need a hairpiece, not a full wig. So that'll be possible also. Well, you've done a lot of things with A&M, for instance. And what is the CDC Board of Directors that you were a member of?
I was a member of the CDC Board of Directors. I was the secretary there. And we did a lot of outreach in Edmonton Heights neighborhood community. And I was actually the president there for 6 years. And I really saw them clean up that community and get some of those dilapidated houses renovated, move some of the individuals that were doing a lot of, drug trafficking and making the value of the community go down because of the different things that they chose to do in the street. And I just appreciate everything that God has allowed me to encounter in my life. I count nothing as naught because all things work together for the good of Him. Okay, is called by His name. Okay, and He takes care of us at all times. All right, and so I don't, I embrace everything that He has that comes my way because there's a divine purpose for it.
I see that you also Kingdom Finances class teaching on the principles of what God has to say about money. And actually, I just completed a class teaching for 13 weeks Financial Peace University, and it has helped, us get out of debt, paid off our house and our car, and bought a not as expensive as car as we did have when I crashed it. And the other one, unfortunately, my Mercedes is gone, boo-hoo. But I got a really comfortable Lexus, so that'll work. But we did help a lot of people. I think our class of about 35 put down over $400,000 in debt. But tell me about the Kingdom Finance classes. What does God say on the principles about money?
The principles that God says about money is that, first of all, never loan anything that you want to expect something back in return, because He's the one that gives it back. You must do things from your heart. And really, if you want to keep friends and a family, you understand what I'm saying, you might want to steer away from that unless you just giving it to them. Stay away from the loan thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. In fact, we were teaching the same thing. Do not loan to friends or family if you want to ever talk to the friends or family again. However, if you think that they really are deserving and you have the money, give it to them. Yeah. And then they don't have to worry about getting it back, and they're going to
be making them strapped, okay, or making them a servant unto you. Because at all points in time, whatever you do, you always want to give God the glory. Okay, no matter what it is, you never want to touch His glory or have someone thinking that they have to be a servant to you.
I wouldn't mind having a few, but I guess I better not. Now, I understand that you were teaching at the Restoration Ranch for drug and rehab for alcohol and different things like that. Tell us about that experience, and do you feel like that anybody ever actually gets off of drugs or alcohol?
Okay, well, drugs and alcohol, those are just part of the medication, like what doctor gives at the office that they write those prescriptions for, okay? And it's funny that alcohol kills more than any street drug ever has, and that it's legalized, and the majority of the things that are legalized are the number one killers. That kind of concerns me. But anyway, yes, you do see individuals that when God has called you not to do a thing and He says no more, it can be no more. But once an individual deal with the real issues that's going on in the inside, because a lot of people are dealing with generational hurts, insecurities, self-images, false self-images, that's what I'm going to call them, okay? And where they would make them want to be impaired, be it by pills, liquor, drugs, or something of that nature. They're finding out that marijuana has more pluses than they do negatives, and that's in study, because I keep up with all of those different type of things, but what we have to obey Caesar's law, okay, because we live here in the world and right now it's illegal, but a lot of states are legalizing it because they do see the benefits of it, and they're much better than some of the side effects that you can have from some of what the dope dealers in the white lab coats are doing.
Well, I know that they were saying, I had a television show recently that the guy was a drug pusher and he's out there making that. He said, the parents are running me out of business because the drug addicts, the teenagers, are going to the
yes, because that's where the real drugs are. It's funny how everything has taken a turnaround and they no longer are out on street drugs, they're on prescription drugs, and that is the biggest problem that America is facing right now.
Well, that's really sad to think about that. Do you have any specific case of someone that you feel like you were instrumental or helped in getting them away from drugs or alcohol with the biblical principles at Restoration Ranch or anywhere else?
Yes, well, fortunately, when I stayed on Meridian Street, I housed individuals with drug and alcohol situations at that time, and we were very successful. And there's one particular individual, her name was Miss Mary, and I'll just leave it at that. And when she came, that she was very depressed. She loved to take all different type of prescription pills and things of that nature, and she was cutting herself, you know. And just through with prayer and being there for her, something that I noticed that we as individuals, we don't do enough is to compliment one another, edify one another, you know what I'm saying, lift one another up. Sometimes it's just nice to say, oh, your eyes look beautiful and clear today, you know what I'm saying, because that is a plus. Because when you've been high for a long time and your eyes is real sluggish and you sluggish too, you know, and eyes are bloodshot, you would want someone to notice that when you've been off of these different substances and the change that is taking place and how they're really feeling in their spirit. And through reading the word, because that's how you really get renewed in your spirit, is by the washing of the word, and get them not only just to read but to be able to comprehend, because that's something a lot of individuals do not have, is a comprehension level that when they're reading that they can have an ear to hear what the Spirit of Yah has to say.
Now see, if we were over in Italy, I could say to you, Ponitha, those are really beautiful earrings. You'd take them off and give them to me, so I better not say that. We don't do that as much here. And I have been almost embarrassed in traveling around the world speaking at churches and places, and found out that if you compliment in some countries something like your earrings, they will give them to you. I was over teaching in the Philippines last November, and I said something about somebody's earrings, and they took them off right then and gave them to me. Embarrassed me. It was a blessing, and we did have a great relationship. But I learned to stick to looking like your eyes are clear today, Ponitha. And you know, I taught in a college in Waco, Texas, and you're right. When they would come in there and you knew, now, of course, I thought they were on marijuana. Maybe they had something stronger. Their eyes would be bloodshot and they were sluggish and so forth. And then they'd come in a few days and they were just bright and cheerful and paying attention and doing their homework or doing their work. So there is definitely a difference that anybody. I just can't even comprehend how someone could ever get off of drugs or drinking, because it's hard for me not to eat or not to, to be involved in something that's my challenge, unless the Lord is helping them.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because food is a drug. All right, because they have more drugs in them than some of the drugs do, okay? And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that is a challenge to different individuals. And fortunately, God has allowed me to overcome crack, marijuana, alcohol, and things of that, and cigarettes, because I smoked cigarettes like they was going out of town about 20 years ago. And it was just one day that just woke up in my spirit and said no more. All right, and that was just my testimony. But I've also seen him take individuals through these steps, and they go through these different programs. And what a person has to have in their heart is a made up mind that this is what they want to do, because I've seen people relapse also because it was something that they desired to do, and it's some things that's deeper in the inside that's going on with an individual than just the medication, okay, that they are taking, because that's what I'm going to call it, medication, because that's what they use it like it is, medication, because there's something deeper and emotionally distraught going on in their spirit. Normally when individuals lose their job or have some type of financial situation or relationship crisis, any crisis, okay, whatever you determine the crisis is in your life, people will reach out to different things. Some people are codependent on other people. You understand what I'm saying? All of this has to be taken away, because there's only one thing that can ever deliver you, and that is our Creator.
Now, you said you woke up one day and you decided not to smoke anymore. What about the crack and the other things, and what was that defining moment? What was that defining moment when you said, that's it, I'm not doing this anymore?
The defining moment was that I was not only tearing my own self down, but I was tearing down everyone around me and that loved me. And because of the love that I have for other people and not being so self-centered and selfish, okay, that helped me to make a conscious decision to say no more.
So what did you go through after you said no more, the withdrawal?
I didn't have any withdrawals or anything like that. What I went through was loss of businesses, houses, cars, relationships, valuable relationships, a marriage, okay? It's no telling, the sky could be the limit of where I could have been, and being young at the time, because God allowed me to open up a salon when I was 21 years old, and we made so much money, anywhere from, I'm going to say $700 to $1,300 a day, and that was a lot for a child that was 21 years old, okay, and there was nothing under the sun that I couldn't have, but I was not fulfilled within, all right, and I didn't have the proper relationship with my Creator, and that's important, okay.
How did you get that relationship with your Creator?
When everything got taken away from me. When I put trust in money, money got taken away from me. When I put trust in men, men got taken away from me. When I put trust in my parents and my family and anything else that was close to me, all of it was taken away from me, and it was nothing left but Him. You have no other choice.
I understand that, Ponitha, because when I was married when I was 16, and my husband came to me one day and said he wanted a divorce, and I had no clue anything was wrong. And come to find out, a friend of mine that we'd been doing things together, she was having a baby by him. And he said, I want a divorce, I want to marry her, she's going to have a baby. I said, we just had a baby. We had a 1-month-old baby, but he still left. And now he didn't go to church and never had been back, had never been a Christian and never claimed anything. So I felt like that I was absolved from that relationship. However, my heart was broken. The pain was so great I couldn't breathe. But then later, a few years later, I met Tony, and we've been married for a long time now, and I got him trained, so I don't want to train another one. But that is painful, and I could not do anything to keep that man there. What about you and your relationships?
You know what? That's almost identical to what took place in my marriage. Think of this: coming to work. I had a salon. My client brought her baby in, and I looked down into the baby's face, pulled the blanket off, and I see my husband's face. Okay, and I had that same issue, and because it would make you think that there's something wrong with you, but it taught me to learn about compatibility. You understand what I'm saying? Because everything that looks good is not always good, and you have to know. See, we've grown up, okay, and you becoming to know who your creator is in you and what you like and what you don't like. So I'm gonna look at it like a trial run, when I was younger, because I don't regret anything. I am, like I say, I'm thankful for every trial and tribulation that God has allowed me to go through, because he has allowed me to overcome, because through him, that's how you become an overcomer. I could never have done it in my own strength. I would still be somewhere messed up, sleeping up underneath a bridge, which not too long ago I was sleeping in my car, but I was going to school and keep on going because I had him with me. And a lot of people were saying, oh, she had this and she had that, all right? But you know what? I had more when I had nothing, because I had everything, and that was God.
Wow, what a testimony that is. Ponitha Everhart, when her boss came to her one day, or the owner of the company, she was the general manager, said, your services are no longer needed. And that just broke the heart of a lot of your clients. Yeah. So they're chasing you down.
Students, too.
Clients and students.
Yes.
Just almost crying, what are we going to do now?
Yes, but I just encourage them to stay there, because God has a purpose why he has them there in that particular facility, and I just want them to be encouraged and to become the best hair designer that God has created them to be, and to keep in mind all of the different technical terms and work ethics that I have taught them when I was there, and they're more than welcome to call me at any time. I keep in touch with them all.
Well, Ponitha Everhart, I thank you so very much for coming, and I want us all to think about, hey, if they say your service is no longer needed, great. Next, and you see what you can do next, because now you get an opportunity to do what you really were called to do. And you'll find out that that's true in something like the book that God made it possible for us to write, called Born Again Marriage, about how God put our marriage back together. And you can have this and some other books for any donation. So let us know if you'd like it. You can download it off of ebooks, not eBay, ebooks, or off my website. You can see the website running across the screen right now, or you can call the toll-free number 1-877-823-6886. If you want to have Ponitha or me to come and speak to your group, we'll be happy to do that for you. And we appreciate Verena Buss that's in there working in the computer, and Captain Mike Dechimendi that came over and ran camera for us. I'm Bonnie Libhart, and bless your heart for watching.